Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timmy. In today's tutorial, we're going to be making this beautiful waistcoat. If this seems like something you're interested in, then let's start. We're going to start drafting the front pattern. From the beginning of my paper, I'm going to mark 1 inch all the way down. This 1 inch is going to stand as my button allowance. After reading out this straight line, I'm going to go ahead and take 1 inch on top of my pattern as well. This is going to stand as my shoulder line. From this shoulder line, I'm going to go ahead and mark my point. I'm going to start with my chest point, which is 8 inches, and then my waist point, which is 16.5 inches. After taking this point, I'm just going to go ahead and make a straight line. Then I'm going to label my point. This is my bust point, my waist point, and my shoulder point. Then on my shoulder line, I'm going to go ahead and mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I'm going to mark the same thing on my chest line. Then I'm going to connect it with a straight line. Then from my shoulder line, I'm going to be taking my neck width, which is 3.5, and then my neck depth, which is 9 inches. I'll go ahead and connect it with a slanted line. I'm going to go ahead and mark 1 inch, which is going to stand as my shoulder slant, and I'll connect it with a slanted line as well. From this point, I'm going to go ahead and divide the measurements I have there, which is 7 divided by 2. Then I'll go out by 0.75. On my chest line, I'm going to mark my bust measurement, which is 9 inches. Then I'm going to form my armhole using my curve ruler. On my waistline, I'm going to go ahead and divide my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inches, which is going to be for that. I'm going to use my slanted ruler to connect it. I'll use my marker to make the lines more visible. Next, I'll mark my bust point, which is 10 inches. I'll connect it with a straight ruler. On my bust line, I'm going to go in by my nipple to nipple measurement. I'll do the same for my waist, and I'll connect with a straight line. When we were making this part, we added 1 inch, so I'm going to divide it into 2 to make my dart legs. For this tutorial, we're going to be making use of a bust dart as well. My bust dart is 1.5. To get your bust dart, you need to measure the differences that you have from your back measurement and your front measurement. I'll go ahead and extend the pattern by 2 inches because I don't want the waistcoat to stop on the waistline. When connecting your side measurement, you need to connect it in a slanted manner, just the way I'm doing on the video. From my center point, I'm going to mark 3 inches. And then from that 3 inches, I'm going to go down by 4 inches. This is to form the shape that the waistcoat has on the bottom. From this 4 inches, I'm going to connect it to my waist and back to the top where the center front is. From the 4 inches, you want your line to be extended to your button allowance. So I'm just going to go ahead and redraw the lines. I'm also going to do the same thing on my neck depth. So I'm going to extend the line and then I'm just going to connect it back to the neck width. The points that I'm shading out are no longer useful. Then this is where my buttons are going to be. I'm going to extend the darts to the bottom of the pattern. The waistcoat I'm making also has a princess dart. So from my armhole, I'm going to take 4 inches from the top and then I'm going to connect it into my bust point. For the coat to not gape on the shoulder line, I'm going to go in by 1 inch to tighten it and connect it back to my bust point. To avoid gaping on my neckline, I'm just going to create a dart as well. So from my neckline, I'm just going to divide it by 2 and then I'll connect it straight to my armhole dart. For the neckline, I'm going to be using 1/2 inch to tighten it. So I'm just going to mark the 1/2 inch and then I'm going to draw a straight line back into my armhole. All the shaded part will be cutted out when cutting out the pattern. Before cutting out our front pattern, we need to replace the 1 inch dart that was taken on the armhole. And that's all for the front pattern. For the cutting of the pattern, I'm going to go ahead and open up the chest dart and then I'm going to glue it down as well as the bust dart, and I'm also going to repeat the same thing. After cutting your dart, you're going to realize your neck length is no longer straight, so you just need to replace the line. I'll go ahead and redraw the line for the waistline because it's no longer straight. I'll label my pieces so I can know which side goes to which part, but I'm gonna use an arrow just to indicate which side I'm going to sew together. Then I'll continue cutting out the rest of the pieces. To join the pieces, I'll be using 1/2 inch, so I just went along to indicate it on my pattern paper. This is how the front part looks like after cutting. For my back pattern, I already went out to take out my points. It's 8 inches and 16.5. For the back pattern, I'm going to tighten the center back with 0.75. I'm going to mark it on the waistline and on the chest line. Then I'll connect it straight to my shoulder point. For my neck measurement, I'm going to be using 1 inch depth and 3.5 width. I'll go ahead and connect it together. I'll be going in with my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. Then I'll mark 1 inch for my shoulder slope and I'll connect it. From this point, I'll be marking my shoulder measurement on the chest line as well, and then I'll connect it with a straight ruler. On my chest line, I'm going to be marking my bust measurement divided by 4. Then I'll go to my armhole and divide it by 2. Then I'll come in by 0.5 inches. Then I'll connect it with my curved ruler to form my armhole. On my waist point, I'm going to divide my waist measurement divided by 4, and then I'm going to add 1 inch for the dot allowance. I'll then connect it with a curved ruler. Next, I'll be taking in my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Then I'll go down from my bust point by 1 inch and connect it to a straight ruler to form the dot. For my dot, I'm going to be using 1/2 inch on both sides, and I'm going to connect it straight to the 1 inch. In the front, we added 2 inches, so we're going to be doing the same thing for the back. I'll be extending the dart leg down to the 2 inches. So that's all for the back pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. After cutting, you need to make sure that both your front and your back piece, the sides of the patterns are the same. I went ahead to cut out my pieces. I added half an inch all around, and to the side I added 1 inch. Then I ironed in an interfacing on the lining piece. To join them together, I'm going to place them right sides facing each other, and I'm going to stitch it with half an inch all around. For the back piece, I went ahead to notch that leg, and then I'm going to separate it and stitch by half an inch on the middle part and also stitch my dot. This was it after I finished stitching and I pressed it. Now I'm going to bring in the front piece and the back piece. I'm going to face them right side facing each other. Then I'm going to pin it down on the shoulder. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew by half an inch. This is what it looks like after stitching and ironing. Then I'm going to bring in my main piece as well. I'm going to place them right side facing each other. Then I'm going to go ahead and make sure the points are aligning. Then I'll stitch all around my armhole on both sides, and I'll also stitch my neckline. So after pinning, this is how it looks like. I'll stitch all around and all around the neck and all around the second armhole as well. This was it after stitching. I went ahead to trim out all the excess before turning it over. This is how it looks after turning it over. I'm going to go ahead and iron. This was it after I pressed it. I'm going to go ahead and work with the bottom part now. To stitch the bottom part, you want to flip it over and make sure the points are aligning, then stitch it all around by half an inch. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. After stitching, I'm just going to cut out all the excess. Then I'll flip it over to the right side. I'll do so for the other one as well and go ahead to the ironing board and press it. To join the back piece, I'm going to tuck in the front piece and flip it over, just like I'm doing on the video. After tucking it in, I want to make sure that the dart legs do align from the lining piece and the main piece. Then I'm going to go ahead and stitch it all by half an inch. This is what it looks like after stitching. To flip it back to the front, you want to take it out from the side. After flipping it over, I'm going to take it to the ironing board and press it. This was it after stitching the front part and the bottom part, and I went ahead to iron it. I'll also go ahead to stitch the side seam by half an inch, although we left a 1 inch allowance, but I'll be using half an inch just because I want it to be a bit loose. I don't want it to be so tight. This is how the waistcoat came out after stitching the side seam. This is how it looks on the inside, and on the back part, this is how it looks. The next thing is we're going to be attaching our buttons. My buttons will be on the right side and then my buttonholes will be on the left side. And this is how the waistcoat came out. I hope you loved this video. If so, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.